Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Tracy Young. Our guest is Dr. Ebony Utley. She's Assistant Professor of Communication Studies at Cal State Long Beach, and she joins us to discuss the November 2nd general election. Nice to have you with us, Doctor.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get right into this really quickly. At a short bit of time, you actually sent me a question. I said, don't tell me the answer. I wanted to hear on camera. What was your interpretation about the racial connotations of Proposition 19, which would have basically legalized a small amount of medical marijuana? I'm sorry, it's just plain marijuana.
Prop 19 should have been in the mainstream discourse a social justice issue.
Okay.
Legalizing marijuana would have eliminated the substance as an excuse for racial profiling. African Americans and Latinos, particularly in California, are sometimes 13 times, depending upon where in the state, more likely to be arrested for possession of marijuana than whites. So on that issue alone, the California NAACP and also colorchange.org were pushing it as a social justice issue.
Why didn't I hear about that?
I'm asking myself the same
Okay, so
question.
It wasn't me. I mean, I covered so many nooks and crannies of the election. I don't remember hearing anything about that.
That was the missing racial component, and I think if more people had been aware of that, maybe more folks would have turned out to the polls to vote perhaps for Prop 19.
Very interesting. Well, that leads me to the next question. If more would have turned out to vote for 19, might we have had a better turnout in the 2010 election here?
I think we could have, particularly in the youth contingency and also for the Latino and African American voters. I think we could have, had there been more of a social justice push for Prop 19.
So who's responsible for getting the word out and getting people to the polls? Or mail-in, you can do a mail-in ballot.
You could do a mail-in ballot. I'm not sure what the mobilization was like across other campuses. I know that there was a big push in Long Beach State, but I'm guessing that is mostly a sort of a campus issue that would have been a place to have those conversations.
So I'm looking at on the California state level and on the federal level. You know, I did this before we went on camera here. You and I could sit and click off on our hands the number of African Americans that we have both in the state level and the federal level. Like, for example, here in SoCal, I think we have Senator Rod Wright, we have Karen Bass, who was head of the Assembly. Actually, she was the Speaker. Now she's moved on to Congress. Maxine Waters and Laura Richardson. But look, we can quickly name these people. Why don't we have a larger representation of African Americans in our state and our federal government?
That's an excellent question. I mean, in the next term, there will be no African American senators in the House either.
Oh,
Absolutely none. So I'm not sure exactly what is going on there. Perhaps it's a funding issue. Perhaps they're not getting the support that they need from the larger DNC. I'm not really sure, but the numbers are dwindling, and the numbers are dwindling quickly. That's not to say that an African American candidate would represent the interests of all African Americans, right? African American is a large group, right?
And I heard all this about the women, that all women were going to vote for Carly Fiorina and Meg Whitman. I kept saying, to me, I found that insulting. It doesn't matter who I chose to or not to vote for, but that because I'm a woman, I'm only going to vote for women. It's like saying a man would only vote for a man. People aren't that monolithic, and particularly not Californians, are they?
No, particularly not
We're
Californians.
very independent voters.
We just need more candidates that are social justice advocates in general, no matter what color they are. I think that we definitely need more of that, and we need more conversations about social justice. That's definitely missing too, despite the color diversification in California.
So I think of how most people get to either the state level or the federal level. They start at things like the school board and their city councils and whatnot. I mean, there are, like, early money is like yeast, Emily's List, which helps get Democratic women elected. We have to get people through the process so they're prepared to be a state elected or federal elected. How do we get more people of color into those lower elected positions? They learn the ropes, they learn how to run a campaign so that they can move on.
I think we need more people to sort of reach back and handpick those individuals to start moving them through. Personal connections are always very, very important. The experience is very important. So we need people to start to reach back and say, hey, I think maybe you would be a good candidate for that type of activity.
Well, that's it. Really seeing somebody that, whether it's you yourself or you see somebody be good, really start supporting their candidacy, because that's the only way you can get elected in California.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Interesting election, and 2012 is going to be an interesting one too?
Yes.
She said yes with a big smile on her face. All right, thanks so much for your time. For Charter Local Edition, I'm Tracy Young.